12 years ago, my parents decided that their objective in life was to die in their own bed. They wanted to be able to sleep on their own pillow, get up in the morning, have breakfast and look out at the daylilies and hummingbirds, find their way to their own toilet at night without a nightlight on. And we as a family said, sure, we can do that. And then we discovered how difficult that was. And we discovered that there's no checklist out there to help people age in place.
Bottom line is, everybody wants to stay home. Just about. I used to work for an organization that represented not-for-profit nursing homes, CCRCs, and assisted living facilities. And their board members, unanimously, every board meeting somebody would say, come on you all, let's be realistic. How many of us want to live in the homes we manage? Not a hand would go up. Everybody wants to stay in their own home. They don't want to move to assisted living or to skilled nursing.
I grew up with a grandfather who had Alzheimer's disease, and it was difficult to watch him progress through that disease in an environment that was totally different to him, in an assisted living environment. He was not around people that he knew from before, places that he could pull out of his older memories, or anything that could provide that sense of comfort. And I really think that that was detrimental to his aging process. And so as I see our clients and our members who are going through that same experience, but can do so at home with the support of our volunteers coming to visit with them, making sure that things are going well, giving their caregivers respite breaks, things like that, it just seems like a much more holistic approach.
There's a tremendous amount of resource in our community, and what I see as missing is the sense of just the embrace. What the village does is it just gives a human touch, a human life to people who are going through changes and don't necessarily feel held, because the resources are available, are out there, but they would need to be making phone calls and trying to weave their way to assist, you know, a piece of support over here, a piece of support over here. Having the village helps to make an integration of all those resources and to have them actively engaging and participating in both giving, if they're volunteering, but feel like their community is holding them and is there to help when they need it.
Seniors at home, they have a pet, right? That pet has fleas. The senior gets bit by the fleas. That causes them to go to the emergency room. Well, what happens in our healthcare system traditionally is that person just keeps going back and forth to the emergency room. Now, we're looking at being able to have a system that can go into the home, take the dog and dip the dog for the fleas, and then bring that dog back to the apartment and stop a senior from having to go to the emergency room because they have an infection being bit by the fleas on their dog. So those are the kinds of things that are changing. Now, what organization comes in and goes to the house, takes the dog, dips the dog, and brings the dog home? Villages. Organizations that are helping people at home with the very simple things that we take for granted, but that attribute to a high cost of health care.
We don't want any volunteer to ever feel like they have to do something or that it's some type of obligation. We want them to want to be working with our members and helping our members in ways that give both the member and the volunteer feelings of self-worth. So when our office volunteers contact a volunteer to say, hey, could you go food shopping for Mrs. Smith this week? If that volunteer says, oh, well, I don't know, it's a busy day, we say, don't worry about it. Just say no, because we have a whole group of other volunteers that would love to take this opportunity, and we'll come back to you next time. We don't want that feeling of obligation. We want a feeling of excitement and yes, and this will be a time for me to not only drive someone to the grocery store, but to have a conversation along the way that means something.
With the village movement, if we play our cards right, if we learn to use all the resources that are available in the community, and if they're not available, if we learn to partner with other organizations to create those resources, then those of us who are boomers and generations coming along will be in a better place to be able to age in place, to age in our homes.
This is a very cost-effective and a human investment in doing things that grow, how shall we say, security and comfort in knowing that you're where you want to be.